And we're going to get right into it. The stories today, we'll be looking at the plenary session of the Catholic Bishops' Conference says the current economic hardships are becoming unbearable for Ghanaians. We'll look at that. We'll also look at general elections 2024. Looking forward, the flag bearer for the NDC, John Mahama, aims at tackling youth unemployment with the 24-hour economic policy. He was explaining further details about that yesterday as well. And then also the Songo salt mining, stop attacking electrochem. It's undermining progress of Atachia was speaking there. All right, my guests have been seated, are seated already, and let me introduce them to you. I have with me Mensa Thompson. He's the Executive Director of the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, as well as Jeffrey Kabote Okansi, the Executive Director for Revenue Mobilization Africa. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Well, thank you.
How are you all doing?
We're doing well.
Yeah?
Doing
Had
well.
a good weekend?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, throughout the weekend, we were following the Liberian elections.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You were following the Liberian elections?
Yeah, elections.
Yes. What's the interest?
I was in Liberia last year.
Okay.
I work with the government. In fact, I helped them develop their local content policy for their small-scale mining industry.
Okay.
So it was a GIZ finance project which we did with the Liberians. So I got a very bit of the Liberian experience and understanding. And
did you go outside Monrovia?
No, please. Please. The hassle of driving from the airport. In fact, my experience with Liberia.
It was quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I've done it before, actually. So
I got to Liberia around 6 p.m. So they sent a driver to pick me from the airport. We drove 6:30. Yeah. Then it was getting dark. Yeah. Then we started driving through some bushes, and then there was no light. So I told the driver to stop. Where are we going? He said, we are going to Monrovia. I said, but where did the plane land? Is the place not Monrovia? He said, no, the city is ahead. We had to drive almost 2 hours through darkness, bad road to get to the city. It's the same experience I had in Sierra Leone 3 weeks ago. Also, you land at the airport and then you take a boat. You ride on a boat for about 45 to 50 minutes
to go to Freetown
before you get to Freetown. It's
it's
an
experience.
If you have it, you will never want to go back.
No, so Jeffrey, the thing is that a lot of cities are built like that, where the airport is far outside.
Right.
Do you see? And then you commute to town. Do you get it? It's just that Accra, when we did our own, we have, all the population has grown and gone way beyond the airport.
We seem to have the notion, for me, but most cities you go, right out of the airport, you are in town. These days, for most cities. And even those who built their airports outside, what they did was that the city developed towards the airport.
Yes.
So you see the development moving towards the airport, and then eventually the whole place open up.
Yeah.
And so when you go to these places, and you sometimes
development is a lot slower. That's why.
But look at Ethiopia. I think, like you're saying, Ethiopia has an airport very.
But it didn't start like that. It's built outside, and then the city developed towards it.
Yeah. But let me say a very good congratulations to Joseph Boakai. I think that, and also congratulations. Let me commend George Weah that for accepting the verdict of the people and for conceding defeat in the elections. Yeah. I think the bigger hurdle is ahead. That is for a smooth transfer of power to the incoming administration. I think that's where the real test is. In a country like Liberia with very weak institutional governance and pervert corruption, I think the bigger hurdle is how they are going to, manage this whole transitional process to ensure that there's smooth transfer of power. And I hope that the ECOWAS and then the other international watchers will provide the necessary assistance in terms of security and whatever it is.
I mean, you understand the space a bit better, but I'm just wondering, once the president, the former president has conceded, is that not automatic that the transition will be smooth?
Yes, transition is not just leaving office and another president coming in. It's a whole process of providing access, information, documents, systemic history and what have you, for the last 6 years to the new government to be able to adequately take control of the helm of affairs. And in our country where there's there's not so much trust, especially in our part of the world, the process is not a walk in the park. It's always a bit challenging. Even in Ghana, we face challenges sometimes during the entire process because the outgoing government is always reluctant to provide thorough information to the new government in terms of the things that they've done for fear of prosecution, for fear of victimization and what have you. But I think that there's a lot to learn from the Liberian example. And if you look at Ria is somebody the people of Liberia love a lot. And they admired a lot. He was like a hero for a lot of people. For a young boy who just came out from nowhere, got into the international stage as a footballer, represented the country well, flew the flag of Liberia very high. And so he was admired. He got the opportunity to serve the country, and he was a massive flop. One of my most, what I'm going to remember Ria for was when I was in Liberia and I was supposed to go, I had a meeting at the Ghanaian embassy to meet with the ambassador, and then we were driving towards the embassy, and then we got into a heavy traffic. Liberia has just one principal road. We got into a heavy traffic. And no car was moving for close to an hour and a half. No car was moving, no car was coming. So I was wondering, what was this whole commotion about? Incidentally, Ria has built an AstroTurf close to the roadside. And so during prime time, he comes there to play football with the kids. And so when he comes, they block the road. No car comes. So I was like, I was saying, what is going on? They said, the president is playing football at the AstroTurf. I said, are you kidding me?
But it's community development.
In prime time,
it's community development.
Can you imagine that?
Just don't block the traffic.
Can you imagine that during prime hours, President Akufo-Addo is going to Accra Mall and he will block the Accra Mall because Akufo-Addo is just visiting Accra Mall. There'll be a coup d'etat following. I said, this thing can never happen in my country.
No, but you see, what you need to appreciate also is that there's a lot of countries like Liberia that are not as developed as ours, where they do that kind of thing. If the president is moving, everything stops. It's like it's just it's a nightmare.
But it's ridiculous because Liberia has just one principal road that leads, and so during business hours, you block a road to play football. The president,
let's get right to the stories.
And like as for Ria's example, there are so many, for somebody who even had to take President Akufo-Addo to advise at certain times. Can you imagine somebody President Akufo-Addo is advising?
Please don't start your things. All right, let's get into the stories for this morning. The first one says here, current economic hardship becoming unbearable for Ghanaians. Now, this is coming from the Catholic Bishops' Conference. The story is on citinewsroom.com. Let me just quickly read a portion of that story there. The Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference says the current economic hardships the country finds itself in is becoming too much for Ghanaians to bear. The Catholic bishops thus called on the government to double its efforts in stabilizing the economy and restoring it back on a better trajectory to bring respite to Ghanaians. Now, this was captured in a communique issued by the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference at the end of its annual plenary assembly held in Sunyani in the Bono region. This was on from the November 6th to 18th this year. And I quote this quote, we acknowledge the current global economic crisis which has affected the growth of the economy of our country. We also appreciate the effort that the government has made so far to handle the impact of the crisis on Ghanaians. It is, however, true that as we as a country have not been able to manage our economy well. This has contributed to the current economic woes in which we find ourselves. We have had to resort again to the IMF, and they go on and talk about it says here the Catholic bishops also called on the government to use the right approach in implementing policies, reduce its size, minimize waste, promote the common good, and review and remove all abuses related to the benefits in Article 71 of the Constitution of Ghana. And the stories that you can go and read the story on citynewsroom.com. Let me continue with you, Mensa.
Thank you very much. Let me say a very good morning to our cherished viewers once again. And to say that the economic situation in this country, no doubt, is very, very strangling. You know, it's like if you talk to Ghanaians, you ask them the experience for the last, especially for the last 3 years, they will tell you that the economy is choking them. The Ghanaian economy is choking. And I must commend the Catholic Bishop Conference that they've at least mustered their courage to come out and speak. Only these calls are coming a bit too late, but it's better late than never. My only hope and regret is that I wish that these, you know, these admonishments could have come up a bit earlier in the administration of President Akufo-Addo. President Akufo-Addo has enjoyed the most quiet administration.
Really?
Most quiet administration.
With all the strikes against him?
Nope. He has enjoyed the most quiet administration in terms of the intensity of the things that has happened, in terms of how they've run the economy and its impact on the people. I think that Ghanaians, the patience of Ghanaians has been tested to the ultimum under President Akufo-Addo. Ghanaians have gotten to, and I mean, it has shown how decent we are as a people. It has shown how advanced we are as a people, because a number of the things that have happened under President Akufo-Addo for the last 7 years cannot survive even 1 week in a lot of our neighboring countries. In Togo here. For example, Ghanaians went to bed one day. They woke up, and the Minister of Finance have issued a statement that if you have any investment in banks or in any financial institutions, your investment is going to receive a haircut. Just like that, you go put your money in a bank as an investment. The investment you make or the asset you hold with the bank is a contract you've signed with the bank that I'm giving you this amount of money to hold for me for this period at this particular interest rate. After this period, you pay me my money back with interest. It's a contract. When you made that contract with the bank, the Ministry of Finance was not there. The government of Ghana was not there. The contract was between you and then the financial institution. You wake up one day and the government just issue a statement that yes, even though when you sign the contract, I'm not a party to the contract you made with the finance company or with the bank, I am going to, or your investment is going to receive a haircut. Sometimes 40%, 50%, 60%. Some people lost as much as 90% of their capital. In this country, we woke up one day and pensioners who have been told that, look, in spite of the difficulty we are going through, when there's any debt restructuring program, they are not going to be included in the debt restructuring program. They woke up one day and their pensions have also been included. They've also received, and their monies were not being paid. And people with walking stick, our fathers, our mothers, our grandparents, walked to the Ministry of Finance with their walking stick to picket. And the young people of this country said, no, we know what is going on is very terrible, but we'll comport ourselves. This cannot happen in nearby Burkina Faso or Togo.
Isn't that because we are more mature as a democracy?
You see, there could be so many arguments, but I think that Ghanaians have shown resilience in terms of this troubling adversity inflicted on us by the Kufuor regime. We've shown patience, we've shown maturity, and that patience and maturity we've shown should never be taken for granted. And that's why I say that President Kufuor has enjoyed the most quiet administration in the last 7 years. Can you imagine if this haircut thing had happened under Mahama? Can you imagine? We did not experience even 5% of what has happened under President Kufuor under Mahama. But we saw the public outcry. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's good for democracy, because politicians shouldn't, get swollen-headed that you do small things and then you please the people. Politicians must always understand that to whom much is given, much is expected. And so we expect them to deliver and to solve the problems confronting the people. And so all the admonishment that Mahama received, the bashing that he received, was in good faith. It wasn't bad. It was a good thing. And we expected that the same level of accountability would have been extended onto the Kufuor regime. Unfortunately, the bar was lowered for President Kufuor for whatever reason, by Ghanaians. For whatever reason, I don't know, by Ghanaians. And by you, the media. We were in this country. We saw what you, the media, you did to Mahama.
Which we, the media?
You, the media. We saw what you did to Mahama.
Are you not part of the media?
Yes,
here.
we are part.
So why is it? Why you point
yeah, but I'm pointing you. I'm not the media. I'm a CSO. So when we get to the CSOs, I'll talk about the CSOs. But you, the media, we saw what you did to Mahama, and I'm not saying it's bad. It was a good thing because it kept the government on its toes every step of the way, and it made them a little more efficient. We got to President Kufuor, and you people lowered the bar. You lowered the bar of accountability for Kufuor.
I don't think we've lowered the bar at all.
You lowered it. You lowered the bar to the lowest minimum.
You can't prove that.
Oh, I've given you examples.
That what?
That people's investments, savings, your grandmother's pensions have been taken. Are you sitting here screaming? Are you sitting here screaming?
How is the media culpable? How is the media culpable for lowering the bar?
Are you not the one who represents the voice of the people? Are you not the fourth estate? Are you not the one responsible for propagating what the people, in terms of policy direction, in terms of the thinking direction? Are you not the people who are responsible for that? We saw under Mahama, it wasn't even a national financial crisis. DKM. One financial institution in the Borough region went to collect people's money and could not pay. At just a small part of the Borough region, we saw what happened in this country. We saw what journalists like you sat on radio. I'm not saying you in particular, but I mean people like you.
You better don't say me, because you can't prove it.
Sat on TV. And I'm not saying that what you did was wrong. You were doing your job. That's what the media is supposed to do, to keep the government on its toes. So I'm surprised that it gets to President Kufuor, and then you people lower the bar. And so anytime I talk about the crisis we are in,
please wrap it up for me.
I don't spare you, the media. You are a huge accomplice of the misery Ghanaians are in. You people lowered the bar for Kufuor. You gave him so much room to mess us up. Because if you, the media, had extended the same level of accountability you gave to Mahama under Kufuor, Ghana would have been better. Would have been better off. We wouldn't be where we are
today.
I
guess you have no function or use as a CSO.
And so I comment. We did our part, and we had at least we.
Because you only take what you tell what you feel
at least
to make noise about it. So what's your function as a CSO?
You go out to do stories too. You go out to do your own independent stories.
And we do.
I'm saying that CSOs are also part. I'm not excluding ourselves. But I'm saying
whatever you have said about the media, CSO are equally culpable.
Yes.
So
and I'm not disputing that. And I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you, the media, because you are the ones who carry the message. Our message have no weight without you, the media. Oh, let me. You
no,
let
we
me
will
learn.
carry your message.
No, let me finish. Let me land.
No, you have to wrap it
yes,
up.
I'm wrapping
You have
it
10
up.
seconds, please.
Okay,
wrap
so,
it up.
So don't interrupt me. Let me wrap
No,
up.
wrap it up. You have 10 seconds.
So all I'm saying is that we commend the Catholic Bishop Conference for speaking up. Although it's too late, we encourage other well-meaning people, institutions, organizations who care about the plight of the suffering Ghanaian to begin to let their voice be heard.
Thank you very much. Kabite.
Right.
Yes.
Let me first of all greet your viewers, and I say, my condolences once again to the Kufuor family for resting our mother peacefully. It's also very important to say just a quick one on the Liberian elections. I am happy that we are considered, especially when within this period we've had some tensions in the West African sub-region about leadership, and so it's good. And I'm just looking at the age of the person taking over. I've been very critical about those ones. I mean, for over 75 years, I think 78 or something. Well, but I'm sure he has some energy to do the work. But let's come home. Like one of our former presidents says, so when it comes to the economic hardship, I think it was a good call, and it's timely by the Bishops' Conference. And this actually, it's an add-up to early calls by the Christian Council and a few other bodies. I think the conference, I mean, the priests over there, they represent a voice of their constituency and other people in the country. And I think when such people speak, you should listen to them carefully, because they act as intermediaries between government and the citizenry. And so it's very important. Their concerns. Now, our bullet is in some areas. Employment. They are getting complaints from their employees. And I'll tell you why. The Catholic, they employ teachers, they employ health workers at their institutions. They run schools, they run hospitals. So their employees will be talking to them about what they are going through. They get feedbacks also from their church members, who are losing their jobs by the day, and they are also getting information from their members who are not even getting jobs at all. And so they actually get these informations from their church. Also from their members who are closing down their businesses. So some of their members are shutting down their business and telling them, priest, this is what I'm going through. So when they meet like this, they meet from that utilitarian discussions they have for the good of all. They actually look at not only their workers and their members, but how it affects other people. Now let me go to health. There are first-hand people who are seeing at their health facilities the inability of the users of their facilities to pay. And look at you, a priest. I mean, you look at people who are coming to your facilities and that they are not able to pay for health services. It's very disheartening. The high cost of that's also limiting them, their ability to expand. They have hospitals and they are running them not for profit, but just to be there for the people. So if they are running such an institution where they are not going to be spending flamboyantly to make themselves happy, but then for the good of all, that utilitarian spirit guided one. So if they are doing such an operation, they would like to expand and reach other places. Most of these Catholic hospitals and schools are where even government institutions are not there. So they choose those areas. So they know what they are talking about here. High costs also affecting the price of their operation. So they are directly operators in the economy. Actually, just that they are not profit targeted. My children attend Mary Mother of Good Counsel for a school of that quality in the middle and the heart of the city of Accra. That place where they are, I mean, you should be looking at charging prices around 10,000 or 20,000. But for the fact that it was a Catholic school, that's the price you'll be listening to. But that's where they are coming from. Education. They are also saying they provide education services as well. The inability of parents to pay fees. I mean, high cost of operations, also shutting some of their services. In some Catholic school I know, there was a shuttle service. Because of the cost of buying fuel, I could see pain in the eye of the Roman sister when she was saying that they had to shut down that service. But that service was very critical to some of the parents who actually live somewhere, Medina and beyond. They had this shuttle service but because of the economic stress, the reality is cost must go up. But parents could not afford. And I could see the difficulty in her eyes when she was saying they were actually shutting down that service. So that's also very, very, very important. It's also limiting one of their critical area in education is skills training. Catholics have a lot of skills training centers.
Yeah.
So these are employable skills they were given to people so that right out of school you can go and play economic role and then also get some returns. So if they are unable to expand, then they are telling you, look, we are not even able to contribute to what economic thing that we're doing that was helping the people. Finally, I look at corruption. They are actually talking about managing the tithes. It's a comparable issue. They are taking tithes from people. And they manage it so well that compliance is so well. I mean, you can talk about tithes in the church going about 80%. I mean, people paying out of their own free will. So these are people who are seeing people who are paying tithes, and they are seeing the churches build schools and hospitals, and they are telling you directly that, look, even though you are backed by law, when you take the taxes from the people, ensure that they see the developments around them. From experience, look, the Catholic Church has a compendium on education. Just go and follow that document and look at it. After many years since independence, they have, so when you look at and listen to them about, they have a Catholic secretariat for managing their education. So when you look at all this, finally waste. When they look at the gross misuse, you see, this is an institution that is using maybe Land Cruisers and pickups, few of them in their system, and they're getting so effective. They have the Christ the Kings to boast with, they have the Mary Mother, they have the St. Benedicts to show, and then you have the whoop amount. They look at it, they're like, I have 1 million, I can do this. And you have 1 billion, and you can't do it. So they are talking from experience. All these I've mentioned, employment, health, education, corruption, these are the economic backbones. They want to see you train people, equip them with skills, and ensure industrial growth. So I think this time around, you know, there's this priest who Alabaster says, TA, you remember that guy? This is a time to call on the president and the ministers and tell them, listen to the priest, TA no more. Because these are people, by the day, in the morning, they are with the people praying with them. Look, these are people who could have also said, look, let's pray to God and commit everything to God. But then they are telling you, practically, Jesus Christ knew that he could just do a chant of spiritual thing. And then, but what did he give them? Loaf of bread and fish. Because human beings must feed through their tongue for them to be okay. That's why Jesus Christ gave them the loaves and fish. So at this point, the priests are telling government, look, ensure people eat well. Because when the anger sets in, that is when you are not able to control. Look, the priests have worked in areas where there have been civil wars. They've worked in areas where people have had unrest, civil unrest. So they are preaching to you that, look, while I speak to the people to hold their peace, pray to God, I'm telling you, the master of a sheep, the controller of a game, that look, the little that you are getting, I've done it for education, I've done it for health, using little resources. With the money that comes into the national, now I don't want to call it the national basket again, because I think the perception that it's a basket makes the leakage, as if we go and use basket to fetch from the pipe, and the leakages are too much. So now I want to call it the national bucket now. Make sure you hold the national bucket well. Sometimes you can also be careful, but when you trip, the trip is also caused by people who deliberately make the trip happen so that they can fetch the last one in the bucket. So at this point, I say that it's a good call. All of us must be concerned, but let's depoliticize the discussions. Just like the way the priests have said it. The issues have come. Let's discuss it. Have a national debate, national discussions. The discussions will continue, even to the generation of my unborn great-grandchildren. But let it always be for the red, gold, green, and the black star.
All right.